Already here is the actual dashboard. So when we open it up, we have a few different places that we can look. We have our month to date, and obviously we have a range that we can put in there. We have advisors tab, we have our technicians tab, we have our open repair orders tab. We'll get into parts in just a moment. So here's a few months of data from one store um, that we were beta testing in, and we can see we have a nice normal trend line as we move up. Um, I see a few anomalies or variations that kind of jump out to me right away because this dealership was one that was having an issue with closing repair orders around when the advisors actually got paid. So the pay week for these advisors at this particular dealership um, was Monday through Saturday. So you could see that Friday, a lot of repair orders got closed. And then we can also see once we get towards the end of the month, there's a ton of repair orders that get closed. How do we determine that? Because if we look at these very sharp increases, this line should be relatively steady line beginning to end. If we're cooking, we're moving, we have momentum, we should be closing out a consistent amount every single day. When we have variations, let's say like right here, this is a pretty drastic variation, as well as the end of the month. There's quite a very large jump towards the end of the month, which if we're tracking closed repair orders, we don't really track open repair orders in this screen, we track closed repair orders. We can see that there are large jumps or large increases in data, which means we're closing repair orders on those days. So we can see that we are trending our gross internal labor sales, as well as warranty gross and warranty sales, customer pay gross, customer pay sales. We're tracking those all individually, independently of each other, and we can see do we have certain labors that are growing faster than others, and for what reason. If we look at our warranty lines, which is the yellow line, this store had a internal advisor who wrote all internals. So he was relatively diligent at closing repair orders out, but there definitely was a little bit of a spike towards the end of the month. Not as much as customer pay was a little bit more of a spike. Now, if we look down at our gross profit, it's a way we can track every single day what's going on, what's happening. We can see that there are variations in gross profit, probably more than we would want to see. Now, in this region right here, these two large anomalies, where the service manager did not put in the correct information for that date, and we'll see that warranty labor sales would go from 700 to 4,000 in a day, which is not what's supposed to happen. That is one area that would immediately draw my attention. Like, what happened? Something happened. Something happened. But then over down in here, why is our internal labor changing 2 and 3%? Actually, that's 4%. In just a few days. Why did we change? What happened? Why is our gross profit in internal labor changing? Why has it changed at all? It's pretty much fixed. Anomalies like that draw your eye in real quick. Work in process. Work in process is something that I constantly am constantly on, because if I have a high work in process, then repair orders aren't being closed. I'm storing nuts. There's money there. Now it's good. You have to have a certain amount of work in process, and we should get to a certain point where it's reasonable and manageable. But I want to make sure that look, this big drop right at the end of the month makes sense. Oh, right at the end of the month. Oh, end of the week. End of the week. End of the week. End of the month. End of the week. End of the week. End of the week. End of the month. It's not by chance that this happens. This is a way that it's designed. It's the way that advisors, it's the way that they are, and their pay plans are a direct reflection of it. So it's up to us to correct that mindset and retrain the way of thinking. So we're going to hop over to advisors real quick. Let me see. Go back into July. There we go. So we can pick different advisors. I'm going to pick Brad. If we look at his trend lines, a little bit irregular in the sense of that we had some fluctuation in projected gross, but then we seem to have leveled out. This is what I want to see. I want to see a progression like that, where it's kind of steady. It's steady throughout the month. When we have these big fluctuations or variations where it seems to ramp up, why is it ramping up? Is there an issue with scheduling? Is there an issue with dispatching? Is our work in process increasing at the same rate that our gross is not increasing? Those kind of things. We can also trend down here and see, are we missing? Is something missing? We're not writing the amount of internal repair orders that we need to be. Are we not writing as many warranty repair orders as we need to be? Is there a dip in incoming work? Are appointments dropping off? So just from looking at these trends, you can see the health of the service department. You can see, am I scheduling enough appointments? Do I have enough appointments coming in? Did somebody change the appointments? Are my phones not working? Or is the BDC not functioning correctly? You can see that if all of a sudden, if I'm monitoring day by day, advisor by advisor, it starts to drop off, I need to look into something. Now we're going to look over here. This is advisors, their effective labor rates, their hours per repair order, their hours sold. There is an update coming out in the very near future where it's going to trend this more on a day-to-day basis so that we can actually see how many hours, and the advisors can see how many hours that they sold that day. When I say they sold, repair order was closed. If we only worry about repair orders when they're closed as opposed to when they're open, we're not counting our chickens before the eggs hatch. So hours per repair order, and there's going to be an update to this hours per repair order. There's going to be an update for hours sold. It'll be here trending on the side so they can actually see how many hours that they closed the day before. It's important for me at the beginning of the month to give all of my advisors a goal. They need a goal, they need a path, they need a direction, they need a roadmap of where they need to be. And two things come out of that. They're going to know where I want them to be as far as their pay plan. That's are you happy with making $45,000 a year when you probably could be making $70 if you actually applied yourself here, or are they happy with that? And those are all different ways that if you have an advisor who just, if you give them a goal and that goal is going to put them at $50,000 and they're typically used to making 40 or 45, and they just don't push to hit the goal, they're not really in their comfort, or they're living in their comfort zone, not in the actual need of the job or the position that they are holding. If we run over to technicians, this gets very interesting, where this view that I have set up is more based on month to date as opposed to historical, which if we want to look at historical data, we can always just go back to it, no big deal. So we have different technicians. So productivity, 71%, efficiency, 110%, proficiency, 78%. That technician falls short in the productivity and the proficiency areas. Productivity and ADA is between 80 and 85. Proficiency should be 110 to 120, and efficiency should be 110 to 120 in that range. This technician seems to be consistent week to week. Numbers are relatively close. And all of a sudden it gets hairy. What happened here? What happened this day? What happened here? Do these trend lines coincide with blips or irregularities or anomalies in our sales for the day? Or is it he just decided to not punch on certain jobs that day? Because that's about what it looks like. When our green line starts to go up and our red line starts to go down, and our proficiency stays relatively the same, that's telling me that they're just not punching on jobs. So therefore, they're adding too many zeros to the numerator. The denominator, adding too many zeros to it over time, and you can start to see where the gap starts to happen. And what comes along with not punching on repair orders correctly? Back to that whole liability thing with DMV and or manufacturer. We get into an audit, and manufacturer paid the technician half an hour to perform a repair, and they have no punch time to support what they actually did. Typically something that gets debited, not to mention we extrapolate that over a whole year in certain audits. And just from having a technician not punch correctly, driving those numbers driving their efficiency number up and their productivity number down is an indication of them not punching. What else comes along with not punching? I know here in New York, DMV, if a customer contests a repair, DMV comes in, they want to see that the technician actually performed the job he said he did. Typically, safety inspections or emissions inspections that the state mandates. Technician says, all right, yes, this car passed inspection. The car gets into an accident 3 weeks later, and it was found that a brake line was faulty or something along those lines. They come in, they want to see the DMV record, they want to see the documentation. They see, oh, the technician didn't punch on this. How could he must have just put a sticker on it? The dealership is then again liable. So there are repercussions for not punching on the manufacturer side as well as on the legal side or the Department of Motor Vehicle in your state. We have to make sure that we punch. Now, how do we get the technicians to punch? How do we get any employee to do anything? Motivate them financially, or we motivate them by not having a job anymore? In all seriousness, I like to attach raises and merit increases based on productivity and proficiency. That's when a technician becomes more productive and more proficient in the shop, he makes the shop more money and he makes himself more money. But at the same time, if I tie raises to productivity, we start to see a whole different change in that technician, because now he sees, I need to punch correctly. I need to make sure that I'm on this job correctly, because when I go ask for a raise in a year, Tom's going to look up and say, well, our productivity last year was 72%. I told you needed to be at 80. Where are you? Oh, look, we're at 83%. Perfect. You give him that dollar, you give him that carrot, you give him that $2, $3, whatever it is. You give him that, and that just reinforces the importance of it. And once they start to punch correctly, and everybody in the team starts to punch correctly, and all of a sudden everybody's numbers start to become real, that's when the healthy competition happens inside the shop. We're not posting hours. We're not posting available hours. We're not posting anything along those lines. We're just posting the productivity, efficiency, and proficiency. There's no way for anybody to find out how many hours somebody makes unless they had one of the variables that we use to calculate these, but they don't have anything. So it doesn't matter. Let me see if I can find another or different technician who punches a little better. Same kind of anomaly over here, but there were times where this technician was punching correctly. So it's obvious that they can punch correctly. They can do their job the way that they're supposed to do. This is what we need to monitor in our shop, because this will tell us, do we have the correct dispatcher? Or do we have the technicians getting the correct training? Are we dispatching to the wrong people? Are they trained enough to do it? Do we not have enough people on staff? Do I not have enough master technicians? Do I have too much drivability coming in and not enough drivability technicians to do it? Is somebody being fed in the shop? Do I have people that are lazy? Do I have people that just don't know what they're doing or how to do it? This will paint all of those pictures for you, and it's very easy. Do I have too many technicians for the workload? Do I have too much workload for the technicians? Do I need to hire somebody? We can answer all of those questions by looking at these three numbers for my entire shop. Let's move over to repair orders. Repair orders. So each of these, the repair order number Is it a customer pay, a warranty, or internal? I do ask that because sometimes cars come in and they're warranty and customer pay. I want to know the customer pay status. Is it internal or warranty? I want to know it's in the internal status because the warranty portion of it, I can always close. If the repair is done, I can close it anyway. But the customer pay portion of it, I can't. And the warranty, I want to know that I do have a warranty card, that I do have an internal card here that needs to focus on. Reconditioning and turn time, that's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about that some other time. But the status of the car, what is the status of it? Why is it, maybe not necessarily why is it here, but it could be. But these are all things that we can talk about. Loaner cars, are they in a loaner car? Yes or no? The date the repair was open, the date the car is supposed to leave. How many days has the RO been open for? Why is it still open? What's the customer's name? So from here, we can go to, we can edit the repair order. Our statuses are preloaded for us, so they're all the same type of status. We're all talking the same communication. We can, who's the advisor? Who's the technician? Are they in a loaner car? Did they drop the loaner car off? Are they out of the loaner car? That kind of thing. And then when we're all done, the car's left, we can just delete it. Yes, I want to delete it. Perfect. We can illustrate by advisor. We can illustrate by technician. Now, what this shows is that all of a sudden I have one advisor who has one technician who's got 10, advisor's got 15 open repair orders and 10 of them are the same guy. Or I look at 3 different advisors and the same technician's got 4 or 5 or 6 repair orders open for each of them. There's another place that we need to dig into. Why is this one technician storing nuts? Why is he hoarding work? What is going on? Why are these ROs not getting closed? So from that perspective, we need to see what the cars are here for, why they're still open, and when they're going to leave. So we're going to submit a new record. Repair order number, customer pay, warranty, internal. What is the status? It's a work in process. They have a loaner car. Yes. You put in the date that the RO is open, you put in the date the RO is closed, advisor number, technician number, customer's name, and then a description as to why it's not open or why it's still open. Hit next, and then it'll ask you to hide form, and it'll add it right to your list. Real simple. Let's head back to month to date. So daily submission. I have this set up that is exactly how my report that is generated from my DMS comes out. So that's customer pay labor sales, customer pay labor gross, warranty labor sales, warranty labor gross, internal labor sales, internal labor gross, total gross, work in process. Work in process is not in any normally generated report. I have to go find that myself. But once I have those numbers easily put in, we hit next, we submit, we hide the form, it plots our graph. Our technicians would do the same thing. So we're going to submit a record, available hours, actual hours, flat rate hours. Hit next, submit, hide form. Real quick. Advisors. Individual advisor sales, customer pay, warranty, internal, RO counts, also very important. Effective labor rate and how many hours sold. These are month-to-date numbers. These month-to-date numbers that go in will then subtract out to my month-to-date for today, subtract the month-to-date from yesterday, and that's how many hours are sold. How many hours were closed that day. That information is there. We can head on over to parts. So if we want, we can see where is our status right now. Where are we for the month or the year, whatever we want to see. We can see our total gross, our total sales, our gross profit percentages for individual stores. Now, if we look here, our wholesale, 20%, 21%, 21%, 20%, 19%, 15%. What happened? 16%. What happened? It was funny, I actually found out right here that the parts manager decided to change the matrix for certain customers and was giving certain body shops that they were friends with, giving them a 25% off. So anyway, It was easily tracked. It was easily found. Once it started to trend over a few days, something was going wrong. Got to fix it. It's another form it comes directly from my DMS. I have to input the numbers myself, but at least I can print it, and then I have it in a template that goes right in. Hit next, submit form, hide. Great. We can look at our RO counts. RO counts over the month. Oops, what am I doing? Where are they? Where are they trending? Parts to labor ratios. Current month. Inventories. This is where it gets fun. This is where it gets interesting. We can look at our inventories and see how they pan out. So in this dealership, we had a total of almost $443,000. $300,000 of it was, $31,000 of it was actually new parts coming in inventory. $21,000, about $213,000 of 0 to 3 months, 4 to 6, $75,000, and then we get to our pre-obsolescence of 35, and then our obsolescence of a whopping 89. 20% of the inventory at this dealership was obsolescence. There was no plan, there was no strategy to get rid of obsolescence. There was not doing parts returns, not doing their allotted parts return. SOPs sit on a shelf for 2 years. I remember when I came to this dealership, I found T-shirts from a promotion that were 2 years old that were still in a box that the dealership bought. They spent $22 a shirt, $45 retail, and to an event that has already happened 2 years prior, still sitting in inventory, still in the back of the parts department. Accessory wheels that were purchased 2 years prior to hit a parts bonus, but then to sit in inventory for 2 years after, just thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, right here, $89,000 worth of stuff just hanging around. I like to look at these numbers because these numbers give a history or give a pattern of how well your parts inventory is actually doing as far as what you're ordering. So dealer phase in, phase out, dealer phase out, 2.5%, automatic phase out, 11%, manual orders, 4.26%. Need to drop that down. Non-stocking active parts together, we're over 80%. Not too bad there. We just got to get off this obsolescence. Had to get off of it. Level of service. Take a look back at the level of service was, I remember it was not too good in this store. Level of service, so it was around 50% of the time, and then it actually got worse. So what I did was I actually took out wholesale parts because wholesale was driving this number pretty substantially. Took out wholesale parts, went up to about 65%. But the issue is that we still had 20% of our inventory tied up in stuff that we're never going to sell. Why can't we use that inventory? Why can't we use that $20,000 to have parts that are in stock? Also, they were not using the auto replenishment system set up by the manufacturer to pull parts in correctly. Also, when we have the automatic shipment or automatic phase in, automatic replenishment from this manufacturer, they allowed all of the parts that were automatically brought in that if we do not sell them, we can send them back without a penalty. Just not utilizing. And nobody paid attention to the level of service in the store up until this point. Level of service right now in the store is about 82%. So we've made some drastic changes. One thing that has changed over the years, because when I first looked at the store was making about $90,000 a month in gross. They're up closer to $160,000 now. Service didn't have nearly as an impact, but parts to labor ratio went through the roof, and all it was just being able to manage our inventories properly, bill out the correct amount of parts. We changed the internal process. There was a lot of changes in the store, but it was I won't say a holistic approach, but it's a very big picture approach, top to bottom, to if I make changes here, what do they affect? How do we move them back and forth? And you can monitor everything from here, and